We're going to bring in CBS News Detroit's Jack Springate. He joins us live from the 38th Circuit Courthouse in Monroe to tell us what that jury will have to think about before reaching that verdict. They actually have reached that verdict. Jack, I'm going to toss it to you to tell us more.
Yeah, Lauren, there are 9 counts in this case, 2 counts of second-degree murder, 2 counts of killing someone while drunk driving, and 5 counts of seriously injuring someone while drunk driving. Marshella Chidester was found guilty on all 9 counts just moments ago. We showed you that live look into the courtroom, and it only took maybe 2.5 hours for the jury to deliberate and come to this decision. And they had a lot to think about when they went into that deliberation room. The prosecution, they've gone through several witnesses who explained how this blood draw that a lot of this case is centered around, how that was taken, how quickly it was transported to the state crime lab, and that those tests weren't impacted by any sort of fermentation. The defense needed to prove, I mean, they didn't have to prove, but it was part of their case to try and prove that these blood alcohol tests were tainted. They said that they had fermented in the vials they were collected in because the preservative that's used to make sure those samples remain the same, they claimed that it wasn't activated properly. The defense called on an expert to try and prove that, and that fermentation was the cause for those tests to read more than twice the legal limit. This expert said traces of acetone found in the results are proof that some degree of fermentation occurred, and while Chidester told officers she only had 1 drink at Verna's restaurant roughly 3 hours before the crash, she appeared to be holding a wine glass which she filled up at least twice in a video from her home, and that was filmed within an hour before that crash. Here's what the 2 attorneys had to say when telling the jury what they should think about while they've been deliberating.
Fermentation is a very strong animal. It's very strong and it's aggressive. And you don't want that because you've got all these serious charges, including murder too. I want to know, if I was on a jury, that everything is properly done.
All of the evidence lines up to show one result, except one thing. And that one thing is defense's expert. But everything else works to show that the BAC result is accurate and in line with what she did that day.
And there was a lot of evidence presented, a lot of witnesses that we heard from, and a lot of focus on these blood alcohol tests and the intent behind Chidester's decision to drive her vehicle on that day when this tragedy happened. But let's not get lost on the fact that 2 lives were lost. 2 young children were killed in this accident, and that is something that the prosecution wanted to make perfectly clear is something that they're thinking about after they sent the jury to deliberation. And even the defense says that he has immense sympathy for everyone who was impacted by this crash, even though he was representing the person who ended up being found guilty. So I'll send it back to you all for now, but for now, reporting inside the 38th Circuit Courthouse in Monroe, I'm Jack Springate, CBS News, Detroit.
Yeah, hard not to think about those lives. Thank you, Jack, for that live report.